Oh, welcome to RCAM. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. So, today we are going to be covering my favorite red pill influencer, Pearl Davis. Uh, I don't know if you can sense the tiny bit of sarcasm in my voice, but she's not my favorite at all. Um, it's really sad because I actually did like Pearl Davis for a long time. I followed her work, and I thought I saw her on Jubilee owning the libs, and I thought it was great. Um, I was all for it, and then I saw her basically supporting cheating and being anti-marriage and uh, just uh, just making excuses for really awful behavior, and I thought, maybe it's maybe maybe I prematurely thought well of her. So we'll talk about Pearl Davis. For those of you who don't know who Pearl Davis is, she's a red pill influencer. She's basically promotes a lot of this red pill content. So like a female version of like Andrew Tate, I would say, kind of, sort of. Anyway, that's her niche. She's like one of the few female red pillars out there. So Yeah, that's Pearl Davis if you're not aware of her. So we'll talk about her a little bit, some stuff of the Daily Wire also. Um we will also discuss. We got a couple things on the docket. Let me just go through this real quick. And KMD, I will try my darndest to wait for you, man, but we will see. So, oh, we also have this really bizarre story I'm going to cover. Maybe I'll yeah, we're going to cover the story of this chick who faked having a baby. And she did this for months. Tricked everybody into thinking she was pregnant when she really wasn't. We'll also watch Harry Sisson get utterly decimated by Isabella Brown. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It was like watching fine art to me. It was great. Uh, and oh yeah, X eventually planning to display country of origin for some of their Twitter accounts. So I think that's good. We'll talk about that. And I think maybe some more. Oh, I want to talk about John Fetterman being, I think it's John Fetterman. Fetterman. I feel like it is John Fetterman. Anyway, Fetterman, the congressman from Pennsylvania, just being very common sense. Oh, and there's a couple stories I wanted to cover yesterday that I couldn't exactly cover with Wifey on the stream. Not that like there are just certain things that her that is difficult for her to hear. So it's like when I'm talking about like PDF files and stuff like that, I try not to talk about that with her on stream because she rightly gets bothered, but I get bothered by it. So I'll save some of those stories for streams that she's not going to be on. Okay, so before we get into everything, I do want to lead with this breaking story because I do think this is cool. Oh, a few more minutes. I don't know what I should do, KMD. let me look at my docket of different stories that I have here. I'll talk about like some random stuff. Some random stuff. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see. What do we got in my bookmarks? So I started purging all my bookmarks, by the way. Oh, we'll talk about this. So this is a post from Rosie O'Donnell, and I guess they're having like a mass blackout event, which is supposedly going to be on the 25th. Oh, no work, no projects. And it's supposed to last a week till December 22nd. No spending, no events, no restaurants, no backing out. Prepare for impact. To prevent spend spiking before the blackout, we ask that all participants purchase goods needed from community-owned stores and markets leading up to and after the dates. This helps the sustained impact and keeps our money out of mega business pockets. Coordinated national pushback, maximum local impact. Yeah, except no one's going to do this. It's going to be a big nothing burger because, like, we can't not work. We need to provide for our families. Like, that's a luxury maybe afforded to Rosie O'Donnell, but your average person cannot afford to do that because we have families to take care of. What? A blackout? You want what? No, we're gonna work, Rosie. We're gonna work. We got mouths to feed. Okay, and this just tells me that this woman is like detached from reality. She is totally detached from reality if she thinks that we could just go a week without working and it'll be fine. Someone also pointed out here, all the way from Ireland, gee, she's such a hero, stunning and brave. Nobody cares. No restaurants twice. Oh, yeah. That's funny. Yeah. I don't. She just wanted to emphasize it. No work. They have jobs. That's you know what? It might actually work because probably some of these people don't even follow that follow Rosie O'Donnell don't have jobs. You like my Tumblr? I don't know if you can see it. It's nice and full. All right, let's see. So there's that. Let's cover some other stuff. Oh, there's this one. This is just random stuff, guys. CamD, bro. I love you, man. I'm buying you some time. All right. So I guess this TikToker realized that she looks better without a nose ring. Let's see.
I posted a video about men not liking me. And the comment section is just absolutely frying me at the moment. But the amount of people that brought up my nose ring is wild. And then someone said I look like a Democrat because of the nose ring. So I'm taking it out.
Yes.
I just want to see. Because I don't take this thing out. I just want to see. Oh my god, my light is so bright. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to put this back in. And oh my god. Oh, I got it. Oh fuck, I like it. God. Sorry. Bad reaction. I like the no nose ring. Oh my god, I never thought I'd say that. I can itch my nose.
Significant improvement.
Ha.
Yeah, definitely looks better. Definitely looks better when you don't try to make yourself look like a bull. Definitely will help her attract a decent man when you don't look like a bull. And I gotta say, this is my least favorite type of piercing. Like, of all the piercings a person can get, the septum piercing is by far, I think, the most off-putting to me. I just don't like it at all. At all. It doesn't look good on anybody. It does make people automatically assume that you're a lib. It just does, you know. And it just looks bad. It looks bad. There's nothing that piercing, the septum piercing, and then the Marilyn Monroe, where it just looks like a shiny mole on your face. Why would you do that to yourself? Why? Who told you that looked good? Okay, who? I know men aren't. So you got to talk to the ladies in your life and ask yourself this: are they sabotaging you? Are they intentionally getting you to make yourself look like a cow, like a branded animal, so that they look better and feel better about themselves? Is that why? Is that what they're really doing? Maybe. Who knows? So yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Let's see what else. We'll cover Fetterman being base in a little bit, because I really like Fetterman. All right, KMD man, I don't know where you are, but I gotta get started, bro. Appreciate you, man. So we're gonna start with this story right here, and then we'll get into the Pearl stuff in a little bit. So we have breaking news. The career criminal charged with fatally stabbing Ukrainian refugee Irina Zaruska on the Charlotte Light Rail system was indicted Wednesday on federal charges that could land him the death penalty, according to reports. Finally, we are getting some justice here. Finally, we are seeing some movement on this, because it has been pretty much radio silence. Like, we haven't actually heard anything about this case. And now we finally have an update, which I think is very welcome. And I'm happy to hear that they're actually doing something about this this issue with Irina, because it's sad. And honestly, we need to have justice, and we need to have justice quickly. We cannot wait. We cannot delay. This should not be dragged on for years on end. We need to deal with it, and deal with it quickly. So hopefully, once he's indicted, now that he's indicted, we'll get a trial. He'll get charged, and then he'll get quickly executed, like the animal that he is, because it's just horrendous that we allowed this to go on even this long. So I'm very happy that we will at least get a little bit of justice. I think that's good. I'm grateful for that. And now let's get into this Pearl story. So just to back up a little bit here. So Matt Walsh has been uh finding himself in the crosshairs of the some of the conservatives in our movement. He's been getting a lot of criticism because he called for unity, and there are certain people in the Conservative Party that um, certain conservatives do not want to unite with. Okay, so you have these different factions. Okay, and Matt Walsh is friends with Candace Owens. He's also friends with Brett Cooper, and he's friends with um, uh, Tucker Carlson, and particularly Candace and Tucker Carlson have kind of become pariahs in some spheres within the conservative movement. So Matt Walsh called for unity, and you had a lot of conservatives saying basically no, rejecting his olive branch, saying they will not unite with certain people that have latched themselves onto the conservative movement. This is particularly the Groyopers or Groypers. So I'm just kind of getting started into the story anyway, KMD. So we're good, man. So anyway, Matt Walsh is not, was calling for unity, and you had a lot of people basically saying no. That wasn't the case immediately following the death of Charlie Kirk. Lots of people were on board with uniting, but as time went on, people decided no. There are just certain people in the conservative movement that they don't want to unite with, and I can respect that position because there are certain people on the conservative movement that I will not unite with, you know? And I do think there's a little bit of a cognitive dissonance here because the people that are upset with Matt over being friendly to like Candace and Tucker and not denouncing the entire Groyper movement um also don't seem to care that like the Daily Wire had the first episode Jordan Peterson had, he had like Dave Rubin on, who's a gay conservative. They have no problem with gay conservatives, or Blair White, or Rob Smith, or Xavier, or some of these other people in the conservative movement that actually aren't conservative either. So I do think that's a little inconsistent. Me, I'm consistent. Okay, I'm consistent. There are people that I will not unite with, and these are people that ultimately come against the teachings of Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm not uniting with those people. So this is Muslims. This is Groypers. This is and particularly the racist Groypers. This is, the homosexuals, the LGBT without the T conservatives. Like, I'm not uniting with them. I'm not uniting with them. I'm not uniting with people that aren't Christian. So those are my people. If those are the people I'm going to unite with. If you're a Christian, I'm locking arms with you. If you're a Christian, we're in this together. But I'm not uniting with people that are opposed to conservative values, like real, true conservative values. I'm not uniting with those people. I can't. So anyway, so you have this beef, and then you have people, and this is the part where I definitely don't agree with. Is you have these people calling on Matt to denounce uh certain conservatives in the movement, particularly like people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Now, you could feel however you want to feel about them. That's fine. You're entitled to your feelings. You could not like them. You could think, they're Jew haters or whatever, or too conspiratorial. I do find Candace Owens to be too conspiratorial. All right, I do. But you want to know what? I probably, I have friends that I find too conspiratorial. I'm not going to stop being friends with them because they're, conspiratorial. Okay. I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm just not. So Matt, they've been calling on Matt to denounce his friends, and he has basically drawn a line in the sand, stating that he's not going to denounce his friends. That's not a principle that he holds, and I have a lot of respect for him for having that principle because it's a principle that I myself have. I would not denounce my friends, even if maybe some of the things were true. I'm not going to join an internet dog pile to denounce people that I know personally. Like, I'm not doing, and I don't, you don't owe anybody that explanation. You don't owe anybody a reason. Like, if they're your friend, then they're your friend. Plain and simple. I'm friends with a lot of the people on Rumble. Um, if I'm friends with you personally, that's it. We are friends. I'm in the trenches with you. I'm not going to cancel you if the hate mob demands that I do. I'm not going to do that. Now, there is behavior if it's very, very clearly like anti-Christian behavior and you're unrepentant in our personal life. Oh, then yeah, maybe I'd start to distance myself from you personally. I still wouldn't join the dog pile. So anyway, Brett Cooper released this clip, and I want to play it real quick because I thought it was respectable. And just let me know if there's any issues with the volume. We should have the volume issue fixed, Lord willing.
I will not stop being friends with Candace Owens, who has become like a big sister to me because the internet demands it. I will not attack Matt just because I no longer work with him or because the internet has decided to pile on to him for the 27th millionth time. I also will not pile on to attacks on Ben Shapiro's character because he was nothing but kind and supportive of me during my time at Daily Wire. And that is a fact. I just won't do it. And if you have a problem with any of that, that's fine. That is your prerogative. It simply means that we have different values. And guess what? It is a free country. That is the beauty of America.
Much respect too, because you do have a lot of people in the far right part of the far right conservatives that are basically telling Matt to leave the Daily Wire because Ben Shapiro works there, and Brett, having worked for the Daily Wire, had nothing but nice things to say about him and won't denounce him either. So she includes Matt, Ben, and Candace in that, and a lot of respect. I think that's good. I think that's the right mentality. And I think, you got to be true to yourself before you make any efforts to try to appease random people on the internet that just simply do not give a damn about you or your personal relationships. That doesn't matter to them. They just want scalps. So I think that's good. I like that. I respect that. I respect Brett a lot for it. Now, I'm not somebody that like really follows Brett a whole lot. I don't. I typically am not following a lot of. I follow them on X, but I'm not watching their content. I'm not watching like female conservative content unless it's like directly related to something that I'm researching, or if you're Pearl Davis and you say some wild stuff and I have to take you to task on it, then I'll do that too, which is what we're going to do today. We're gonna watch a little bit. We'll jump through this because I'm not watching a whole hour of Pearl. It's too much for me. But KMD says, I still don't care for the Daily Wire except for Michael Knowles. I do care. I'm going to defend the Daily Wire primarily because they are the only conservative outlet that's actually making a difference culturally. They're not perfect, okay? But they're doing something that no other conservative in media is doing. All right, they're making entertainment. They changed the media game. They single-handedly did that. They changed the conversation on transgenders, and they fought the Biden administration with vaccine mandates and won. They do incredible work, and just because Ben's a Jew, and I'm not saying this is you, KMD, but this is the mentality that a lot of people have. Because Ben's a Jew, it's like they're not worth it, or because Ben, fired Candace and Brett Cooper and then parted ways, that they're like alien to them. But one, talent leaves organizations all the time. This is just normal. It's normal. It's part of business. I get that. I'm not even in the industry, and I get that. But I do think they do a lot of really good work, and it should not be underscored. Candy said, I don't really watch much Pearl, but I'm not against everything she says. At least she acknowledges the problems and facing relationships, but I'll admit she can take it a little too far. Yeah, I would say Pearl definitely hits some points that I think are true. You know, she will correctly identify some problems. But what she does uh, in the same breath is makes excuses for degenerate behavior. So she'll often talk about marriage being a raw deal for men. You'll see this in this video that we play, being a bad deal for men. And her solution to that is for men to opt out of marriage and be promiscuous, sleep around, basically. Because she's not encouraging them to like pursue, religious life. She's not doing that. And then she'll make excuses for men cheating on women, I think is detestable. So she says a lot of things that I find off-putting. Also, too, like she does claim to be a Christian, or at least or a believer. So some of the stuff that comes out of her mouth is not really consistent with that of a believer. It just isn't. So, All right, let's play a little bit of this and then we'll talk about it. I'm going to skip ahead.
And then married him at the end of the 15 years. But then he like, hey, I actually went to the park today and I watched a movie. Okay.
All right,
I think it's a popular movie. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really, really appreciate. I think that this was a good sweatshirt to have, is because really, I think all women are whores. Pretty much every single woman has a whore. And recently, I was in a conversation with.
You hear that, lady? The ladies, all of you are whores, according to Pearl.
The right-wing e-girl. It'll come out this week. And it was all in good fun, and none of this is meant to attack any of you ladies personally, okay? I know it feels that way, but I am like autistic. Don't take it personal. It's me. I'm the problem. I'm basically this autistic level woman, and when I see things that aren't accurate, I just have to be like, wait. So I'm talking to this woman.
Okay, I feel like a lot of the Daily Wire is privileged. It just doesn't seem like they understand what others have experienced. I could be wrong, but something seems very high and mighty about them. I don't know. Maybe for like Ben, maybe Ben was privileged, but I think like people like Knowles and people like Walsh, I think they're just regular guys. Walsh was doing his podcast in his car, for many years before he got picked up by the Daily Wire. He started out as a blogger, and worked for radio, far from privileged, making, working, low paying jobs just like the rest of us, working class. And he built a career for himself. And that's admirable to me.
And I just noticed how every right-wing e-girl I have on the show has to virtue signal for 20 minutes. They have to let me know how they are different. They are special. They're not like the others. And I thought to myself, is this what men feel like on dates? This has to be the most annoying thing ever when you're dating a woman and she has to prove to you that she's not a whore. Because me personally, I'm really not going to look into it too deeply until you start signaling purity. And I think the men are kind of that way too. Like, if a woman's doing a good job and she just shuts up, men aren't really going to look into it to make sure you're not a whore. Yeah, and what you get, now some of the people in the chat are saying, Pearl, you're coping. Not all women are whores. You're a big coper.
I think she is a big
to that
coper.
I say, well, if your wife's not a whore for you, I got bad news for you fellas. I got bad news. So,
fun fact, my wife was a virgin until we got married. She's a good woman. And literally Literally, like every single example Pearl gives for like women being whores, my wife is like does not fit that definition, does not fit that mold. And you'll see, even if you have somebody like my wife who is lovely, she's a great woman, Pearl would say, oh well, I wouldn't believe somebody like that. They must be lying.
Anyways, these women, and I realize every single right-wing e-girl has to run cover for her reputation. Like, I was watching this one right-wing e-girl, and I just, you know, I think 'cause I'm in the space, it's just a different breed. And this woman spends like 20 minutes of this video saying, this is, well, I'm on the internet, but I'm only on the internet because the other women are on the internet. Shut up. Just be on the internet. Just be. Be here. Take the hit. You know, I take a lot of hit to my reputation in some way.
Be here. So be here so I can criticize you for being here. That's basically Pearl for right-wing e-girls. Be here, but at the same time, don't be here on the internet.
Because I'm on the internet. I do. Just eat it. Just eat it. You're less desirable to men. It is what it is because you're super online. It is what it, you know, just eat it. You know, and another right-wing e-girl, divorced, right? And every time this right-wing, like, you know, she came on the show the other day and it's 20 minutes. Well, my divorce was different. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
I don't know who she's talking about.
I catch myself doing it at times too. I'm not claiming to be perfect, but I just needed to rant for like an hour about how annoying this is. I just needed to talk about it because God, it's the most annoying thing ever. And I just wanted to know from the men, when you're on dates, is this what it feels like? And I see this everywhere. Once you see virtue signaling, you just can't unsee it. So a virtue signal, I got the definition. Publicly expresses opinions or sentiment intended to demonstrate one's good character or social conscience or moral correctness of one's position on a particular issue.
Well, one, I think at least the second part of that is like, why wouldn't you want to be morally correct on an issue? Like that's just being correct. You just want to be right. Like I want to be right when I'm making positions and making claims. I want to be morally correct. I want to do what is morally right in every sense of the word. And if I'm not doing what's morally right, then I want to be held accountable. Like if somebody's like, "Oh, well, Ryan, I noticed you said something that wasn't true." I'd be like, "Oh, okay. What was it? And can you show me the facts?" "Oh, I was wrong." "Okay, well, I now need to correct." KMD says you have to read in between the lines of what she's saying. Yeah, I guess there's a lot of that. And I have to read, I guess, what she's not saying, which I don't really like. I would appreciate people just being plain and just blunt and honest.
So this is what the tradcon, the right, the conservative sphere always does. They grift their religion. They're like, you know, I am awesome, but here's my cross in the background. I'm a good person, I swear. I'm great. And
listen, I'm not gonna lie, I am pretty great. So I am, and I do have my cross in the background. I have my ZZs too. I had that there actually just to prove how virtuous I am, not because I love Jesus or anything. Just so you guys know that I'm virtuous. All super intentional. And this here I have just so that you know that I'm judging you. You're being judged.
even okay, so I'm gonna pull up a couple examples. Oh no, I need to log into my Twitter. My bad. I don't believe you because I had this woman on my show, and a lot of time, because it's going to take up the whole show. We'll never get to the topic. We'll never get there. We'll never. So here is an example. Now, a lot of times when conservatives grift how good of a person they are, right? Allowed to share window. Oh no. What's the one I can use again? Oh no. That is not what I was trying to do. Okay.
I'm glad I'm not the only person that makes these
Hold on. That is not what I was trying to do.
dumb mistakes when you're doing your streams.
Geez,
get it together, girl. Give us the example.
Like how he was attacking Nick's character and just saying, "Oh, he's a bad person. He's a bad person." I'm just thinking, Milo, what, are you a good person, really?
I will agree with
Really?
that. I don't.
Are we really gonna? I'm not saying I'm a good person, but you know, it's like
I don't know too much about Milo,
where
but
is
I know that he was a practicing
Can you guys put in the
homosexual.
chat
He's
what-
like very catty and he'll attack
what is
other men.
the
I think that's weird.
browser? This always happens.
It's like peeling paint right now.
Brett Cooper made a
There we
video
go.
dedicated to talking about, to heavily insinuating how good of a person she is because she has these amazing morals and is not going to turn her back on any of the people around her. It's like, why don't you just not turn your back on the, this is the thing about women. It's like, why don't you just do the action? And then, you know, let your actions speak for yourself. You know, again, it's not the same thing when you don't turn on people and then you put a camera in your face and you say, I am so awesome because I'm not turning on people. Why don't you not take the clout for it? Do you know what I mean? Like, why don't you guys just have the kids and not put them on the internet? Why don't you just have a child?
Sometimes I think about this. So I'm pretty against parents publicly posting their kids, but at the same time, all right, hear me out. Like there is a risk that comes with it. Obviously, your kids are exposed to weirdos, creeps, degenerates, all that. Yeah, that's bad. All right. You don't want to do that. But at the same time, I don't know if it would necessarily be good if there was no kids on the internet. You know, and we weren't seeing any conservative families because this is where people spend their time. I hate it, but it is. It's where people spend their time. And I do think there is something good about seeing, you know, families, loving families. You know, I don't think that's inherently bad. But there's definitely risk when it comes to it. And I don't think it should be like public, but I think like among friends, yeah, I don't see anything necessarily wrong with that.
I will not stop being friends with Candace Owens, who has become like a big sister to me because the internet demands it. I will not attack Matt just because I no longer work with him or because the internet has decided to pile on to him for the 27th millionth time. I also will not pile on to attacks on Ben Shapiro's character because he was nothing but kind and supportive of me during my time at Daily Wire. And that is a fact. I just won't do it. And if you have a problem with any of
Now, again, virtue signal. I would never do that. Just don't do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, influencers, we are just the worst class of people, right? We're the worst class because we can never.
Well, when you, Jesus, man, she, I feel like she gives like the worst, like the most uncharitable interpretation of what women do online in general. Like this didn't happen in a vacuum, okay? This didn't happen out of nowhere. I watched Brett Cooper as, you know, she left, you know, millions of people, you know, telling her to basically denounce Shapiro, you know, and then I saw people on the right telling her to denounce Matt and Candace, you know, and all this stuff. So yeah, she's responding to that. She's responding to people very publicly trying to tell her to stop associating with these people. She's also coming to the defense of a friend, one of her friends, Matt. So she's being what I would call a loyal friend. Coming to the aid of your friend is a good thing. Loyalty is a good thing. It's not a virtue signal. I don't think she is saying this to so that she gets a pat on her back. I think she's saying this to show solidarity with her friends, and that she's not going to let the internet bully her and pressure her into cutting off relationships with people that she cares about.
Do a good thing and not record it. We just can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. We're like, ooh, let me grab my phone. Ooh, you know, it's just, we can't.
That's fine. That is your prerogative. It simply means that we have different values, and guess what? It is a free country. That is the beauty of
my values are awesome. You're suck, assholes. Now again, this is women coming into a male space and then trying to virtue signal instead of doing their job. You know, they're saying, what's your take on this? And she's like, I won't talk shit about them. You're a commentator. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying throw them under the bus, but at times, you know, you got to disagree. We'll actually go over that too. So I'm going to do an essay video, and it's going to actually eviscerate.
All right. Let's get into these comments she has about Walsh.
Of reviewing.
My bad. I got to wait.
You would think, like, so Pearl is pretty big. You would think that she would be paying for like YouTube Premium, but she's not. It's really crazy. All right, actions speak louder than word. Pearl has a point, but whether it's true is a different story. But what she says isn't entirely wrong. It's her way of saying it. I guess so. Her delivery is, you know, definitely rough around the edges. And I do believe that actions speak louder than words. And what Brett was doing, at least in her video, was an action. It was just not the action Pearl wanted her to take. So it was still an action, you know, recording the video, posting it online, you know, standing up for your friend. That's an action. That was something that she was doing.
Successful, of course. It's just not something that's as scalable as we as a society are trying to pretend it is. Marriage is like the lottery. Probably not going to win.
I've spent a lot of time in my career defending the institution of marriage, and I defend it because it's the bedrock of civilization, so it deserves defending, and I defend it because it's under constant attack, so it needs defending. And one of the most troubling developments in recent years, which we've discussed on this show in the past, is that these attacks are increasingly waged not just from the left, but from certain noisy segments of the right as well. Some right-wing influencers with legions of young, mostly male fans have decided that men should abandon marriage. And
so now, again, a lot of right-wing people, they don't know how to exist without lecturing people on how to live. I really, you know, I make my stance.
Like she's doing literally like she's doing right now. Her entire platform is about her lecturing men about how women suck. That's basically it, how women are whores. That is her platform. It's literally what she does all the time, every day.
It's very clear. People have the right to their hell. And what you get is a lot of people are very neurotic. Like they're always worrying about what's going to go wrong. And they want to control the universe. And so you get a lot of neurotic people going to religion because they want to control the world, and you can't. You cannot. Let me continue.
Family life and go their own way. And these influencers, many of whom consider themselves a part of the so-called red pill movement, pretend to despise feminists and yet have essentially arrived at the...
Here's the thing. We're all feminists. All of us. Me, him, Matt.
Speak for yourself, girl. I'm definitely not no feminist.
You constantly put your family in the public eye on the internet when you do the type of content that you do. So
he can't do anything. One, he doesn't actually put his family, like his family is, let's just back up for a second. Because of the nature of what he talks about, yes, there's a target on his family's back. Because he has the, the courage and the wherewithal to speak the truth. Yeah, that puts his family at risk, but he is not intentionally like posting his family's whereabouts and posting photos of his kids and posting stuff that's directly going to cause harm to his family. What could cause harm is him speaking about things that are true. And like that's unfortunately a risk that comes with being honest and being in this arena. I don't think anybody should really be speaking on people's relationships. It's not Matt or anyone else's business whether someone gets married or not. Jesus and Paul were single, so choosing to stay single. Listen. I don't think he's speaking on anybody's relationships personally, but I do think, like, as Christians, as people that aim to glorify God through marriage, why wouldn't we talk about it? I mean, Christ is coming back to marry the church. Why would we not want to talk about that? Why would we not want to talk about that? It's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. Why should I not be allowed to talk about that? Because some people don't want to do it? Okay, don't do it. I'm not stopping you. You can be unmarried if you want. I don't care. I'm not saying this about you, KMD. I'm just saying this in general. Like, you don't want to get married? Fine. We are still allowed to talk about something that makes us happy, something that brings meaning to our lives. And we should talk about it because we have a lot of people in this culture that don't have meaning in their lives. They're living in utter despair. No meaning, no purpose. Longing for somebody that they can call their own. So yeah, I'm going to talk about it because I think it is a beautiful thing. You say marriage is a choice, not a requirement. It is a commandment, by the way. Marriage is a commandment. Be fruitful and multiply is a command. Now, obviously not for every single person, but for most people, it's something that we ought to do. It's something that we have a responsibility to do. So I think most people should get married. That is the correct course of action for most people's lives. Not everybody, obviously, but if you're opting out of marriage, then I hope you're pursuing ministry. That is always my argument. Okay, if you're gonna not do marriage, fine, that's fine. All right, but are you serving God? Are you giving your life to ministry? Are you committing yourself to something bigger than yourself? If not, then I think that's an issue. I think that's a problem. I do want to get married, but I feel like there are just some things in life that once obtained, they should just disappear. Getting rich and getting married, in my opinion, are two of those things. Once obtained should just disappear. I'm not sure I'm following what you're saying. I'm just being honest with you, dude. I don't get what you mean. But anyway, yeah, I do think we should, people should get married, and I think we should be allowed to talk about it. And that's fine. And, Pearl's wrong.
Actually am okay in saying this because you put it out there. How did you have multiple twins? How did your wife magically have multiple twins in her 30s? Do you expect me to believe that you're worth $1 bajillion and you guys didn't use IVF? That's feminism.
So now she's accusing Alyssa Walsh of using IVF, which, I've followed, Matt Walsh's career. I've followed, his baby announcements. I've seen all of that. And he had his, original set of twins real early on. And then he had another set of twins. Now, I am, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually if you have one set of twins, the likelihood of you having another set of twins is also increased. And the last set of twins was a surprise. They were not trying to have more, or they weren't planning to have more babies. So she's basically alluding that Matt and Alyssa use IVF, and that's a libelous claim when when you don't actually have your facts, or at least speculation. What I mean is how you can tell others about working and money when you're a millionaire and driving a Ferrari. You haven't been poor in years. Like with marriage, you aren't alone anymore. How can you tell others about working and money when you're a millionaire and driving? Well, I mean, you can tell other people. I mean, I don't agree with that at all, because like I started out unmarried. All right. I was not married, just because we've arrived on the other side doesn't mean that we don't know the way to get there. If anything, we're probably in a better position to speak about these things than people who haven't arrived there, who haven't gotten there. So like the millionaire, I'm going to put a whole lot more stock into what he says about how to make money than my neighbor who's poor and struggling. All right. Yeah, no, I'm going to take him a little bit more seriously when he's giving me stock advice. All right. And the same goes for marriage. Me, I don't listen to newly married people. I listen to people that have been married a long time. Those are the people that I go to for advice, because I want to know, well, what did you do for a successful marriage? What did you do to make this happen? What did you do to build a healthy relationship? That's what that's I think good. So these people that have gotten married and stayed married, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe they did something along the way. Maybe they made some good choices that you can glean some wisdom from, so that you can make those same right choices. I get marriage advice too, by the way, from a 2,000-year-old book. I get marriage advice from scriptures written a long time ago. I get advice on what to look for in a woman based on scriptures that were written thousands of years ago. That's what I do to make better choices in my life. It's also what I did, partially to help me marry a good woman. I knew I wanted a virtuous woman. I knew I wanted a woman of good character. I found one. All right. Also, though, in the same mindset too, is as a man, if you want to marry a good woman, if you want to find a good woman, the first thing that you need to do is work on. No, I know you're not talking about me. I'm using my relationship as an example. But the first thing that you need to do is ask yourself if you're the type of person you would want your future spouse to marry, and work to become that person. Build your career, build your finances, build your wealth, do all of that stuff. So that way, when the right woman comes along, you're ready for her. You lived the good life as a rich person, haven't known the feeling of working paycheck to paycheck. Likewise, you get sex and marriage and aren't alone. So what's it like to have desires? I see what you mean, though. I mean, I know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. I'm by no means rich. But I get what you're saying. All right, let's get back to this.
Most people have used feminism in some way. Did you meet your wife at 18 and you met her at 28?
I met my wife at 19.
Same conclusion as feminists, which is that we should give up on the family. The two sides hate marriage almost as much as they hate.
And the way he's going to phrase it is they hate family. Well, I say, screw you, you hate family. You hate family because you want men to be pussified at home, to be honest. Because men cannot be in traditional relationships in this society. What you claim to be pushing, they can't even have, because women will always have the leverage. And people always act differently when one party has the leverage.
Each other. Now, one of these influencers is a woman named Pearl Davis, who has garnered a relatively large following on YouTube and various social media platforms. She's in her mid-20s, single and childless, and yet full of opinions about modern marriage and family life, a subject that she has no personal insight into whatsoever. She spent the past few days on the internet complaining about quote-unquote tradcons like myself, who, she says, promote the nuclear family despite not understanding what it's really like. Yes, we men who actually have wives and children.
Yeah, and so what he's going to do is he's going to use his family. This is what they do. They claim to care so much about their family, right? But if you cared so much about your family, why do you use them to make you look like a good person? Why don't you just be a good person on your own?
Because they are using their families as an example of how they made their lives better. I don't get this criticism. It's frankly retarded. It doesn't make any sense.
Why do you have to use your family to win arguments? Why are you bringing your family into debate? Seriously.
What else could he do? What is he going to do? He's sharing a personal experience. Something that he experienced that she hasn't. And typically this is a device used in argumentation to make a point. Because she is ridiculous.
If you care so much about them, where is the action? And that's what they don't that's
the action is this man working every single day to provide for his family. What? And you don't actually see the actions, by the way. You don't see the daily sacrifice he makes for his family, just as no one sees the daily sacrifices I make for my family. But I work, by the way, 40 hours a week, every week. And I do this on top of that, for the sake of my family. I literally do it all for my family because they make my life better. Because my life has meaning and purpose because of that. That's not me virtue signaling. That's not me thinking I'm better than anybody else. That is me stating a reality of my life that is profound, that has changed the core of who I am and has helped me become a better man.
That's what this influencer class of people, they drive me nuts because, you say you care so much about your family. Why on earth are you bringing them in to your fight with trans people? You know what I mean?
He didn't bring his family into the fight with his trans people. That was a unintended consequence of his fight with trans people. But, but it was a fight he counted worth it. And I'm glad he actually had the bravery to do it, because he actually changed the entire conversation on the trans cult. He's done much more than Pearl has.
Yeah, that's all Christianity is. Shoving in everyone's face how much of a good person you are. I'll even hear people, they'll say, I don't even want to know what your religion is. I don't want to know. I should be able to tell based on how you act. I don't even tell me. Okay.
Children don't know what it's like to be married, but a woman who is not married and has no children does know what it's like. In one of her tweets, she wrote,
What percent of your audience is female, Matt? Because what I'm describing more accurately paints the picture, because you have a female audience. You have the female dollar behind you. I don't. Women don't, except for the two that watch my show. They don't support me. I got demonetized for 2 years. I didn't have a big company backing me up.
She got demonetized, I think, for having Nick Fuentes on. Is actually what led to her getting demonetized. I might be wrong, but I think that's why she got demonetized.
And because the Daily Wire wants to get paid by women, because they know if they can tap into a female audience, They get more money. Everyone knows it. Everybody in media knows it. You know,
Majority of their hosts, by the way, are men. Just throwing it out there. Clavin, Ben Shapiro, Walsh, Knowles. They also have the sports commentators. I think they're only female. They have two female hosts, and that's Isabel Brown and Regan Conrad, and that's it. So, you know, so 1, 2, 7 men, 2 women.
they're always going to shelter the reality of marriage because they have to appeal to a young base. And they're liars. They're lying. They're either super ignorant or lying. And I don't know how he could get to the age he is and not know. I got kicked off of everything. I had to stop my show. You know, I didn't have a cushy job at the Daily Wire.
I don't think that's fair either because, again, he built up to that. It took him a long time to get to where he's at. So, you know, that's not something that was handed to him on a silver platter. He worked for it. He worked hard. I watched him. I watched him go from, again, a car to the Blaze to the Daily Wire. I watched his career. And it did not happen overnight. It happened after years and years and years of grinding. KMD, I'll admit, marriage, if you're lucky, and children, if possible, can give you a lot to do in life, keep you from getting bored. I'll give that a plus. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's never a dull moment in my house between marriage and the kids. I'm plenty busy. She's kind of right on based on how you act. The Bible says something about knowing them by their fruit. Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't deny that. Yeah, obviously you can't just say you're a good person. You have to act on it. Faith without works is dead. That is biblical, all right? But she is criticizing their actions. Her problem is not the way they act. Her problem is that they act in a way she doesn't like.
By the way, these people kicked a person out because she said Christ is king. I actually don't believe that was why they kicked her out. Candace did a great job manipulating the narrative. I was team DW versus Candace. Like, okay, imagine if I hired a black person and they started talking shit about white people. Am I going to fund that? No, you're fired.
Correct there.
He's an idealist and I'm a realist. Yeah, and he's the man. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad?
Oh. The tradcons push marriage because they aren't old enough to know better. They don't know the reality of what they're pushing. This is a
yeah, because most men don't see divorce coming.
By a picture of myself, Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles. We aren't old enough to know better and don't know the reality of what we're pushing, yet a woman who is younger than us and single does know better and does understand this reality. Another post, she goes on to say that marriage is...
Again, then he starts attacking me. You know, again, it's like these Christian people. I didn't attack him. I didn't. I said he doesn't understand the reality of what he's pushing. Men commit suicide to this, Matt. Yeah, go fuck yourself. I've seen men that are on the brink of suicide. And when you push that, you might not know it, but you're sending men to their death.
Oh my God. So dramatic, yo. Just a drama queen. I've been married 10 years now. I am not suicidal. I love my marriage. I literally love it. I love being married. It is one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So when I see, and most of the men that I know love their marriages too. Actually, most of the men I know are in happy marriages. They're happily married. They love being married. So, I could go on. I really don't want to waste more time on this. She goes on to attack Walsh for a few minutes, but some notable things she says is that she talks about basically marriage being a raw deal for men, and goes over the stats and quotes this 75% figure where like marriage being a bad deal for men, and it doesn't just include divorce though. It includes like divorce in men that might be in unhappy marriages. So, excluding marriage, speaking in general, men sometimes do take their own lives. Apparently, it's sad. A lot of men in society do get depressed. Yeah, they also though take their lives without being married. Like men generally are more depressed right now. There is a huge happiness deficit in men, and I think largely because men don't have meaning. And yes, when a marriage ends, men don't have meaning. And I do want to say I'm not 100% against Pearl. There are some things that I do agree with. I agree, legally speaking, marriage is a raw deal for men. It is legally, because of the way the court systems are structured. It's not ideal. They get the raw end of the stick every single time in court. They get taken to task. They basically have no rights over their own children. I've seen some horror stories myself when it comes to that. So that I am a little bit more sympathetic, and I think Matt would probably agree that needs to change. I'm okay and supportive of prenups. I actually think that's the only way to balance the playing field right now. So there are some things that I can agree with, but don't get married, or or if men get married, they're gonna die is insanity. It really is. When men don't have to kill themselves, by the way, you don't have to do that, and you shouldn't, because life is worth living. Even if your marriage doesn't work out, that doesn't, that's a bad choice in general. Divorce is also a bad choice. You should not get divorced. Period. I don't believe in divorce. I don't believe that's an option. That's not an option for me and my wife. We're not getting divorced. So anyway, so she basically trashes marriage. Man, there's so much more I wanted to cover. I just don't think I'm gonna have time to do it today. Let's see, let me check my time. Yeah, wifey's gonna be home in a little bit, and I'm gonna probably spend some time with her. So I think we'll play this last video and just talk about how weird it is, and then we'll probably call, and I'll do the rest tomorrow. All right, so this is the girl who faked her pregnancy. It is 10 p.m. Yep.
So, this is Kira at her own gender reveal, and me looking like a fanny at a gender reveal for a doll. But at the time, believing I was being supportive for her friend. Then she also went to a wedding with a fake bump. Then she said that the baby had heart problems. And then she was buying the baby clothes. And then the mum and gran bought the £1,000 pram. Then she sent me a video of the baby kicking. Then she posted on Facebook saying thanks to the gran and great gran for buying her a chair. Then there was just more photos of Kira and Bonnie Lee, this doll. Then in a few settings, the text messages are going to come up where she says that she had took Bonnie Lee to the hospital because she was cold, etc. Then all the blue chats that you'll see is me when I found out that it's a doll. That's her saying happy birthday to me.
Good. Hope everything she got me is a mess. Who has Taryn Chen 16 earlier now? Blah, blah, blah. Why you lied to us?
And then this is what her auntie's just sent me here. She thinks her mum was in it. And so they are.
That's weird. I don't know why people would fake having a baby. Like, people do everything, anything for clout. So according to Dexerto, cousin later shared on Facebook that the baby had serious heart condition, needs surgery. She later texted the baby's father, telling him that Bonnie Lay had passed away. The father appeared confused and upset by the news. Cousin since apologized for the hoax. I wasn't pregnant. There was no baby. I made it up and kept it going. Way too far. Fake scans, messages, a whole birth story, and acted like a doll was a real baby. The hoax was reportedly discovered when her mother found the baby doll in her room. That's sick. That's sick, man. People are crazy. Oh, man. I could see her going to like that weird, creepy baby doll convention. They have one of those. They have like this weird, creepy baby doll convention. It's very bizarre. Very, very strange. Anyway. Let me see. I think that's going to be it for me, guys. I know it's a short night. And I probably could have talked about a lot more, but I want to spend some time with my wife. So that's what I'm going to go do. I will be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. If you liked this stream, please like, share, repost, do all of those things. That helps me grow. And, I want to show you something I've been working on. It's not fancy, but I'm happy with it. What? RCAM.tv. Here we go. And my website. And I have like everything kind of just posted on this. So if you ever need to like find anything, that looks really bad. Oh, there we go. It's just taking a little while to load. So it's like I got my Instagram, I got my TikTok feed, I got pretty much everything here. So instead of sending people like a link tree, I could just send them to my website and they can get to my Rumble through here. They can get to all my socials. They can see my Twitter feed. They can see that I'm unhinged. All good stuff. So I'm happy about that. Okay, what is happening here? Okay, I think that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys have a very blessed night. Deuces.
Discussion.